Sedo's journey to redemption. Sedo was a young, beautiful girl who caught anyone's eyes as soon as they were set on her. She lived in a beautiful village, the heart of the African continent. She was known for her radiant smile and the kindness that shone in her eyes. It may have appeared from a distance that Sedo's life was free from challenges. Well, that was just a myth. In reality, Sedo's life was far from easy. Poverty gripped her so tightly and an escape route was but elusive. Her family grappled with the shackles of deprivation and penury. Her family struggled to make ends meet, struggling to feed and breathe the free air that nature provided. They could not afford to buy things out of basic subsistence foodstuff. Even their small home was constantly under the threat of eviction by their landlord, Mr. Adetiba. Of the three naturally basic needs man has, Sedo's family could not fulfill even one without hazards. Food was out of reach almost every now and then. Shelter was under the threat of them being sent packing by Mr. Adetiba all the time. As for clothing, they could not boast of buying clothes from any boutiques or even from the very used item shop where they sold what was known in local parlance as okrika. Mr. Ade, as Adetiba was commonly called, was a wealthy and influential man in the village. His wealth came from the vast lands he owned and the numerous properties he rented out. It was rumored that no one really could count the number of properties that Ade owned. Despite his affluence, he was known for his cruel nature and his lack of compassion for those who could not pay their rent on time, coupled with extreme stinginess. He was fond of saying, staying at the top of the control tower required mercilessness. He would say, people are never open to paying for services offered them except if forced to do so. He was not willing to be dragged down from his glorious station in life. Sedo's family had fallen behind on their rent payments, and Mr. Adetiba saw an opportunity to exploit their vulnerability. He would embarrass and even send to jail those who were unable to sort their debts with him. It didn't matter if they were at fault or not. It didn't matter if they had fallen on the wrong side of fortune by circumstances. One fateful day, Mr. Adetiba visited Sedo's home. His presence cast a shadow over the small house. He has a fearsome look, one that makes his tenants so uneasy. Sedo's father, a humble farmer, greeted him with fear in his eyes and the trembling hands. It could take only a man in his deep poverty to address a man his son's age to call him sir. But like they say, poverty rids you of your conscience and proper behavior. So, Mr. Adetiba carried on his godlike oppression and assault with free reins. Mr. Ade, please give us more time. The harvest has been poor and we are doing our best to gather the money. Sedo's father pleaded. He assumed the position of a lower creature than even necessary, just so as to appease Mr. Ade. Mr. Adetiba's eyes narrowed as he looked around the modest home. His gaze settled on Sedo, who was standing quietly in the corner. An idea formed in his mind, and a sinister smile curled on his lips. Sedo's father wondered, a man who was furious just a minute ago suddenly had a wide smile thrown across the face with dull excitement. I have a proposition, Mr. Ade said, his voice dripping with malice. Your daughter, Sedo, will marry me. In return, I will forgive your debts and ensure your family is taken care of. Sedo's family was owing Mr. Adetiba not only house rent, they owed him for other things. Food, personal expense, money for school fees they had borrowed from him, among others. Sedo's heart sank. She had dreams of her own, dreams of becoming a teacher and helping the children of her village. She had always shared her dreams with family and friends, how she would go to the teacher's training school in distant city far away. The thought of marrying Mr. Day, a man she despised, filled her with dread, but she knew that refusing his offer would mean her family ruin. With a heavy heart, one evening, Sedo discussed with her father that she has agreed to the marriage. The wedding was a grand affair, attended by the entire village, but behind the smile and celebrations, Sedo felt like a prisoner in her own life. Mr. Detiba's true nature soon revealed itself after the wedding. He was controlling and abusive, treating Sedo as nothing more than a possession. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Sedo's spirit began to wither under the weight of her circumstances. She longed for freedom, for a chance to escape the life she had been forced into. She had thought of scheming to kill Ade so as to get rid of him. But on the second thought, she considered the effect it would have on her life and ambition. She could not carry the blood of an evil and guilty man on her palms. So, she shelved the plan. But one night, as she lay in bed, a plan began to form in her mind. She would seek redemption, not just for herself, but for her family and the countless others who had suffered from Mr. Ade's tyranny. Sedo began to gather evidence of Mr. Adetiba's wrongdoings. She documented his illegal dealings, his mistreatments of tenants, and his corrupt practices. She knew that exposing him would be dangerous, but she was determined to bring him to justice. It was although easier for her to gather this evidence because she was under the same roof with Mr. Ade, and he could not hide a lot of his shady deals with her around him. This was a big advantage that aided her plan. With the help of a few trusted friends, Sedo managed to smuggle the evidence out of the house and into the hands of the village elders. The elders were shocked by the extent of Mr. Ade's crimes and decided to take action. They called for a village meeting where Sedo bravely stood before the community and revealed the truth. Mr. Detiba was furious. He tried to deny the accusation, but the evidence was overwhelming. The village elders stripped him of his power and wealth, and he was sent away from the village. Sedo's courage had not only freed her from a life of misery, but had also liberated the entire village from Mr. Adetiba's oppressive rule. He had become so powerful through his wicked activities, and no one could confront him because he had a way of concealing his misdeeds. With Mr. Ades gone, Sedo's family was able to rebuild their lives. Sedo pursued her dream of becoming a teacher and dedicated her life to educating the children of her village. She became a symbol of hope and resilience, inspiring others to stand up against injustice. Years later, as Sedo looked out over the fields of her village, she felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. She had found her redemption, not through a revenge, but through courage and the pursuit of justice. Her journey had been difficult, but it had made her stronger and more determined to make a difference in the world. And so, Sedo's story became a focal point in the village, a tale of a girl who had faced unimaginable hardship but had emerged victorious through her unwavering spirit and her quest for redemption. So, dear viewers, moral of the story for us is brutal revenge leaves a dent in our lives. But if we wisely look deeper, we can actually uproot an evil person from their roots by having foresight and doing better consultation and collaborations. Kindly remember to like, comment, and share our story. If you have not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. It does not cost anything. Thank you and see you on the next one.